might have to wait a little bit. Oh, here comes we'll see what's. If you're seeing this, make sure and tell us you're seeing it. It'll show live here in a second. We'll wait till we can see all of it before we actually get to it. Wait till it pops up on X and all that. Oh, here we go. We are officially live on X right now. So I'm going to go to that chat. So we are live on X.
Right on.
Yep. So let me look at the.
Yep, it's live on me. What's up, everybody?
Awesome. Let's see, let me make sure we got the. Post range. I'm going to go to chat so we can see what everybody's saying. We should be able to see that on there. Okay. If you can see us, let us know in chat, wherever you are, wherever you're seeing this.
I can see it because I'm watching you right here on my
oh,
X
man,
channel.
look how pretty I am.
There you are.
Look how pretty I am right
man.
now.
What's going on?
I got my hair product and everything, man. Come
look
on.
Good.
Man, thank you so much for doing this, John.
I'm glad to do it. I'm glad you're doing it. And it's important for patriots, especially in the music world, to be independent and have enough gumption about them to do what you guys are doing at Baste Records. I've been watching you and supporting you, and to do a podcast like this where you can hear from musicians down on Music Row that aren't being controlled by the big label. That's a good thing you're doing.
Imagine that. Music artists singing and talking about things they actually believe in.
You know, you and I are both historians of country music. We're both songwriters, dedicated our lives to becoming as great as we can writing songs. And the only way you do that is to get to understand the shoulders you're standing on, right?
Absolutely.
Where you came from, who did it prior to you, and you study those people. Like, that's our curriculum, is to go back in and you know, look at the greatest of the greats and then try to match them, or maybe one day even beat them on one level, maybe not, but that's the goal. And I think that in the record industry, a lot of times the artists, some of them care about what came before them. Some of them don't. I've met a few out on the road that have opened for Big and Rich in the past few years, and I'll bring them up on the bus. Right. I'll say, sing me 3 songs that were hits before you were born. That's the game we're going to play. And they go, and a lot of them can't do it. And it's a disservice to them, really, that they don't know how great it was before them.
Well, it's a different mentality, I think, too. Today, you have a mentality that everything new is the new it thing, and the idea of learning from someone and actually being like a sponge and getting knowledge from the people who come before you is a different thing. You know, I talked about this the other day. I had a conversation about how you're talking about just the music industry compared to, let's say, you know, political, you know, the people in charge. And it all comes down to when you're writing songs, people think that to reach a large audience that you have to talk globally and you have to talk these big about these big things, and that isn't true at all. And I think this goes for songwriting and political policies and I think this is what Trump does, is instead of talking about that, no, let's talk about the person who can't pay their bills. Let's talk about the things that are happening to everyday people. The physical things that people are going through, and how that they can't pay for a tank of gas.
Well, right this minute, Trump is talking about the people in North Carolina, and he's on the ground telling the people in North Carolina and Tennessee and everybody that got smashed that what I heard driving over here to do this podcast with you, Trump says he's going to do away with FEMA. I'm going to do away with FEMA. And a reporter asked him, when are you going to do away with FEMA? When? He goes, well, as far as North Carolina is concerned, today I'm doing away with FEMA. I'm going to turn this back over to the states. The states know their state better than the federal government ever will. FEMA is a disaster. All these people trying to help that came in from Tennessee and other places to help North Carolinians were told to stand down. They were told to stop and got in the way, and all these people are still living in tents in the hills of North Carolina. So to your point, yes, Trump is bringing this back to a localized, state by state, town by town kind of situation. He said the other day that no more money for foreign countries until we take care of North Carolina and California. And, that says a lot about him because California didn't vote for Donald Trump, the majority. And Californians, a lot of them don't like Trump at all, and their governor absolutely doesn't like him. But Trump looks at them and says, yeah, but they're Americans. Absolutely. And they're having a horrible, horrible situation, and it's being mismanaged, and people are getting seriously hurt. So I'm going to step in and help them. I don't care if they voted for me or not. A lot of politicians say that. If I become the president, I'll be the president of everyone, not just who voted for me. And then we see what they do when they get in. Yeah. But Trump actually cares about Americans, whether they voted for him or not, and he's proven it right now.
Absolutely. And also, my hometown, Newport, Tennessee, which is right on the North Carolina line, got completely flooded. And I have family up there that didn't get drinking water for a long time after that. There was just the fact that, and now we know it's documented that people from FEMA literally said, we're not going to help these people because they had Trump signs in their yards. I mean,
and that's not conspiracy theory.
No,
the FEMA workers said, no, that's what we were told. And they said, why were you told that? And they said, because we were told they could be combative towards us if we approached them because they're Trump supporters and we're working for Biden. That was the reason. Well, that's not a reason, number one. And I don't think you're going to see Trump saying, hey, when you go to California now, if you see a Biden-Harris or a Harris-Walz sign, don't go to that house. They don't like me very much. He would never say that. He would say if they're upset, find out what they're upset about and fix the problem. They are Americans. They're taxpayers.
Absolutely. And the thing about the Trump supporters is they're probably already out there helping people.
Probably so. But you and I are friends with a lot of Democrats. There's a lot of liberals on Music Row. Some of them are the wackadoo version. Some of them absolutely are. Some of them are running record labels right now. But then some of them are not. And some of them are, normal-minded. They would help you with a flat tire if you had a Trump sticker on your truck. They wouldn't faze them at all. There's a lot of good, regular-minded Democrats out there. And I think right now they're coming around to the idea of realizing, hang on a minute, we have been being extremely mistreated by the Democrat Party for a very long time. Look at California right now. There's a lot of people saying, like big-time liberal voices saying, that's the last time I'm voting for a Democrat. I went, what? I guess your house burning down while a fire truck sits on the road and can't get any water out of the hydrant. Maybe that's got their attention now. It's unfortunate.
Don't you know that's because of climate change, though?
Right. Well, and so they're all looking at that and going, okay, yeah, enough with the nonsense. My house is on fire. Right. Pain is the ultimate alarm clock. Unfortunately, the human condition requires all of us, to go through pain before we actually get the point. It's like telling the kid, son, don't touch the stove. It's going to burn your hand. You can tell him that 100 times, but until he lays his hand on that burner and feels it one time, he doesn't 100% believe you're telling him the truth. And so pain, actually, as bad as it's been in 4 years, has been a great alarm clock for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Going back to the climate change thing, climate change didn't close down 4 dams. Climate change didn't didn't make the water go away from all the hydrants.
Right.
Climate change didn't go to Africa on vacation when the city was burning. I mean, it's amazing how they can go and say that, it's just talking points every time, and it kills me when like I said before, it comes down to just real people, and now real people suffered because of their policies.
Because of their lies.
Because of their lies.
Right. Exactly. They're just lies.
And so now I think now all of a sudden, Obama is laughing with Trump back and forth, and now
was that a happy laugh or a nervous laugh?
well, it could have been both.
Hard to
but
tell.
What I'm getting to is that, and Biden left this really very eloquent note.
You think he wrote that? You think he wrote that note?
Probably not. But I will say this. What I wish Trump would have said on both of those, wasn't I Hitler 2 weeks ago?
Good point.
What happened that now all of these people are coming together, and even the forums that are happening and everything, the economic forums, now everyone is coming together with Trump. Now we have Zelensky and Putin coming together, said, hey, and the reason is they know he means what he says. He's going to do what he says. He's already started. He's working harder now. In the last 5 days in. My God, he's done more in 5 days than they did in 4 years. It's crazy, just what he's gotten done already.
American might is unstoppable if the leadership has the will to make it unstoppable. That's the way it's always been. When you learn about the Panama Canal and you say Trump wants the Panama Canal back, he wants it back, and then you get curious and go, yeah, when did we build that, and why is that not ours right now? And you go back and see it's one of the most expensive projects in the history of America to build it, and the Carter administration turned it back over to the Panamanians, who then basically subleased it out to the communist Chinese. So now they, in effect, have a lot of control over the only waterway connecting the Atlantic and the Pacific. And Trump's like, yeah, I don't think so. Because what if we get into a conflict with China? We really want them controlling the Panama Canal? I don't think so. So manifest destiny is a real thing. Anybody watching, if you don't know what manifest destiny is, go Google that. Look it up after this is over. That was the original thought process of the founders, of the pioneers, of the founders, of the original patriots, was manifest destiny, where you manifest your own destiny. You have to be proactive and go out and make things happen and make big calls and sometimes controversial calls. But we're here to build a nation. We're here to build the most powerful nation that's ever existed, with the most freedom that's ever existed for its people. And short of the attitude of manifest destiny, you would not have ever accomplished that. So Trump is actually returning back to the original thought process.
Well, and America has basically been just bulldozed by other countries for years. They have actually just we've paid their way for so many years in all of these programs, the Paris Accord to all of this. We are, of course, they want us to be a part of that because we're funding it all.
I mean, you've heard Trump talk about the enemy within. What he's talking about there are Democrats and Republicans, by the way, who have sold themselves out to our enemies and who work on their behalf. And then you ask yourself, well, why would any American, especially an American politician, ever want to see America brought down like that? That's a good question to ask. Why would they do that? And the answer to that is World Economic Forum, these globalist groups out there that have co-opted or leveraged or however they've gotten all the American politicians to join forces with them. What they envision for the world is an America that is not independent. And for them to get what they want to get, which is one world medicine, one world military, one world currency, one world government, all of those things. That is what globalist means. That is what they want. They will never be able to achieve that as long as America is standing up on its own two legs and got its dukes up. And there's 150, 200 million Americans that will not jihad with that program. As long as that's the case, they can't accomplish what they want. So the enemy within that Trump was talking about are those people that are embedded in our government, that are embedded in the bureaucracy, that are working for people who do not want America to exist in its current form. That's the real answer.
Yeah. I mean, and it just amazes me. Just the people that are all of a sudden are coming in and just, like I said before, all of a sudden he isn't Hitler anymore.
I wonder why that is. There's some reason behind that. And I don't know the answer. I wish I did.
DEI
It's
platforms are, I mean, the day after AOC dropped her pronouns, the day after, I think it was the day or the week after or maybe a couple of days after he was elected, she dropped her pronouns.
Yeah, I
from
mean,
her
the gun control board or whatever from the White House, that page on the website for the White House just vanished. It's not even there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff happening.
And now, you know, for me, and he's talking about, I was reading, you know, he's bringing out the Martin Luther King files, the JFK files, the RFK files. But what really hit me is, I mean, if you could go back, bear with me for a second, people. If you could go back to Martin Luther King and tell him that there's a president that wants to erase race from all platforms and make it where you basically, race has nothing to do with how you progress in this country, how you succeed, and it's all on your merits. And if you work hard, you're gonna get places, no matter what color your skin is. Also, there's a man and a woman, and there's only two genders.
What do you think Martin Luther King Jr. would say to that?
That is the dream.
I mean,
that is the dream.
Yeah, one of his most famous quotes is, "Don't judge a man by the color of his skin, judge him by the content of his character." That was it. He didn't want to be judged by the color of his skin. He didn't want anybody else to be judged that way either. He said, in America, like you just said, it's the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not the right to be happy.
Right.
The right to pursue it.
That's a big misconception.
Pursuit, the word itself means to be in motion, meaning happiness is a moving target. It ain't sitting over there in the corner going, "Hey, I'm right here, just come get me." It's running away from you all the time. We're pursuing it. We have the right to go after it. And I'm glad Trump is going to tell us finally the truth about all those situations. The more truth that comes out to the American people, the healthier this nation will become. And the more alert we will be that down the road, if somebody else comes in and tries to start bamboozling us again, we'll have something to go by at that point that's provable and say, we're not buying it because you lied about this. You told us all these things for 80 years that weren't true, and we don't believe you this time either. No, we're not voting for you. Like, really, that's what it'll do. Truth will reset and recalibrate the average American's mind.
Well, and truth is, isn't it funny how you can always tell how what someone is trying to accomplish by what they don't want you to see? Because before we had people that, J6, January 6th, you had so much footage. They did not want people to see the footage of them basically smiling and shaking hands, patting people on the back, letting them in the Capitol.
Yeah, I made a comparison about that on an interview a while back. I said, what they did with those people when they unlocked those magnetically locked doors, because that's what they are. You cannot get through those doors.
Right.
A pickup truck can't crash that door. I said, it would be like somebody coming to my front gate, and I see him out there on security cam, and I go out there, and open the gate, say, "Come on in, man. Come on, follow me to the front door," and then open the front door, and I let him in the front door, and then I say, "Hey, there's the stairs. Go on upstairs and check it out." About the time he gets up to my bedroom, I come running up there, pull a weapon on him, and tell him to get on the floor. I call the police and say, "This guy just broke into my house, throw him in jail, and I'm pressing charges." That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
to the point of some of these nominees Trump has, like for instance Kash Patel, if Kash Patel gets to run the FBI, he has promised, "I'm going to tell everybody the truth about all this stuff." And if he does that, a lot of minds are going to change about January 6th. A lot.
Absolutely. Well, he was the hunted at one time.
Well, absolutely.
through FBI,
Isn't it interesting? Trump is putting people in positions of authority over agencies who actually persecuted them.
It's beautiful.
I mean, that's songwriting. That's songwriting poetry. Actually,
is so good.
If that was a song.
And we're friends of Cash here and know him, and it was to see somebody like that get in that position, and knowing where all the bodies are buried, knowing what they're capable of is unbelievable. Because I mean, and that's the thing is when you go after people like that, some people say, well, it's just revenge. There's a difference between revenge and justice. There's a huge difference. And revenge, you go after somebody that or that you have no provocation to do, you just, and there's nothing there. If there's something there, like being pardoned, let's say, why would you, let's say a president pardoned their entire family and had
for doing nothing wrong,
had over 100, I think it was 100, and I may be wrong, 122 LLCs.
Yep.
And five family members, 22 companies and no product.
Well, and Fauci and a lot of the people, and for 10 years dating back to 2014. And so you go, why 2014? Why not 2013?
That's pretty specific.
Why not 2018? Why 2014?
Well, Hunter, he went back 11 years.
Correct. So, what's interesting about those pardons, and I'm not an attorney or anything like that. I'm just a regular guy that I get curious and I start reading. You look at a federal pardon, it pardons federal crimes. It pardons crimes on a federal level. Based on my reading and a few people I've asked, I do not believe it pardons you on a state level or a local level. There are also some crimes that in my mind have been committed to such levels that they outrank any court system in the United States. For instance, crimes against humanity. If you look at crimes against humanity and throughout history where those have been tried, they don't try crimes against humanity in a civilian court. They try it at The Hague. They try it at an international court. And so what was put on the world through COVID, that whole process of all of that, the truth of that, if that ever comes out and it's provable that there was nefarious activity going on, and it hasn't been proven yet, but if that ever was the actual truth, you would be looking at not a courtroom in the United States more than likely. It'd be a courtroom in an international, because that impacted the entire planet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Somebody just asked, what does John think about family members turning in J6ers? Man, that's rough.
Judas turned in Jesus.
That is rough.
Judas turned in Jesus. So, I mean, it is a horrible thing to do that.
Yeah, it is.
I guess that family member could be forgiven if they asked for it. They should ask for it. Yeah,
I mean, especially, and some of the people that are coming out that just got released, 86-year-old Holocaust survivor.
Oh, I know. Grandmas.
And people. Where are the the race baiters that always talk about how how racist he is? Where are they? A lot of these are people of color.
Well, and the other thing about those pardons, so the worst thing that I could find, anybody that's reported on that a J6er would have done would have been assault.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's not many of them, but there's a few that are charged with assault. okay, if you're charged with assault and you've been in jail for almost 4 years, that's time served.
Right.
Way more than anybody else would have ever given you for that particular offense. And then when you juxtaposition that to people burning down cities and attacking cops and killing cops and all the riots that we saw, and people like Kamala Harris were setting up bailout funds to get them out, and that's if they even went to jail or even had a bail to post, because most of those liberal cities said it's no cash bail, walk in, sign some paper, walk back out. Why are those people not incarcerated? But everybody's throwing a wall-eyed fit over some J6ers who, if they committed assault, they should not have done that. They should not have committed assault. But did they serve their time? Yeah, and they served hard time. I mean, that's a really tough jail they had them located in. They were not treated well either. So time served. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the whole argument, once again, is nonsensical, and it is it's a fairy tale to think like that, because the second you bring up the many hundreds of thousands of people that burned down the cities and why aren't they still in jail? They don't know how to answer that. They just want to go right back to, well, this guy committed assault. Well, he might have. He's been in jail for 4 years.
Yeah.
I think that's enough.
And of course, we're not condoning any violence or assault or anything on somebody. When you do your time, you do your time.
Right.
But there's a difference between that and and say, like I said, well, I actually have, and I know that you know them as well. I have friends that were there on January 6th, and I want to have them on the podcast as well and do a whole thing. Now I think it's safe now. I didn't want to do it before.
I was invited to sing at January 6th by 2 or 3 different groups that wanted me to come out there on that big stage and sing for 30 minutes, and I almost did it. And I looked at the situation, and I started seeing, they said, we're expecting 1 million people. And I said, I don't know how you secure 1 million people.
Yeah.
I don't know how you secure something that big. Of course, that was the problem. That's why Trump offered 10,000 National Guard. The head of the Capitol Police asked for the 10,000 National Guard. That could have controlled 1 million people. But I looked at the situation, and as much as I was excited about that big rally that was happening, I said, no, I'm not going. And I've looked back at that and wondered, if I would have said yes and gone and showed up and sang there, would I just now be getting released from that? They could have said John Rich was on stage and helped to incite a riot. I mean, they could have said Lord knows what. And so, discernment is an important thing. People you have to pray for that, for discernment. God does not just give you things like wisdom, discernment, peace, understanding. He doesn't give those things to you. They are available to you if you're serious about asking for them. He will give you those things. And discernment is probably the top thing that I ask for on a regular basis from him, because it's really hard to look at a situation and know, should I do that? Should I not do that? Can I trust this person or not? Is that a lie? Is that the truth? Is it somewhere in between? I think we all find ourselves in that predicament probably on a daily basis.
And to find that out, you need everything on the table. You need to see those videos. You need to see the whole picture.
You got to tell us the whole story.
If you don't see the whole story, and that's the problem, is nowadays they print the lie on page 1 and they print the retraction on page 10, and nobody looks at the retraction. So
nice tactic.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Effective.
Yeah. Oh, it's worked. And I have family members that a few years ago that one of my dear family members who I love dearly, but she completely hated Trump. I mean, hated him. And I sit down with her and I said, I've known you for years. Okay. Do you believe this? Yes. Do you believe this? And I went through about 7 major things. And I said, you are literally 99% agreed with Trump on all these things. And I said, well, what? But she said, I just don't like it. I said, well, what do you listen to? CNN.
I was about to say that the power and influence of continual programming of the American people. Television. I'm gonna teleport my vision right into you, right? And it's really hard for people to combat that mentally when they see it every single day. It becomes tough.
And it's not. We'd like to think that everyone who who thinks that is evil. I guess that's what I'm going with. Is everybody thinks that's no. It's even sadder than that. There are good people. I have friends, like you said. There are friends that I have that that believe some of this stuff, but they have just been.
Well, the truth will help them. The truth coming out will also help them more than it will help you or I. It will help them. It's kind of like what's going on in L.A. We've been told these things for a long, long time. We believe every single word of it. But until your house is burning to the ground with a fire truck sitting yards away from it that can't access water because the stupid governor has turned off the water supply and the reservoirs don't have water in them, until that happens to you personally, you're not going to firmly believe that these people really don't care about you. You're not going to believe it. And when Trump shows up in L.A. and he starts fixing this problem for them and telling them the truth about it, and the more they learn, they're going to go, well, I hate Donald Trump, but I sure am glad he did that. Well, maybe you don't hate him as much as you thought you did. Maybe your hate is misdirected. Maybe the guy that you really hate was the one that they've just programmed you to hate this whole time. You don't have to like everything about him, but the guy is an American, and he cares about Americans. And again, the more truth that comes out over these next 4 years, and I hope it's over these next 4 months or weeks, I hope they just hit us with almost all of it right out of the gate. It will recalibrate the minds of Americans, whether they're conservative, liberal, or otherwise.
Yeah. And it's just unbelievable what's coming out right now. Just, I mean, the things that he is doing just in the last 5 days is amazing. I mean, it's even the things on the border. I think that getting these people that are criminals, that are gang members.
Did you hear them reading the rap sheets out of Boston?
Oh,
on the people that they were pulling out of Boston yesterday, on the ground, and they're going, "What are you taking this guy for?" And they're reading his rap sheet. He raped a 12-year-old girl. What about this guy? He stabbed a girl to death. Put a gun in her mouth. What about this guy? On and on and on. I mean, like horrible stuff. And these guys have been brought in, detained for about 5 minutes, and let back out on the streets of Boston. And I'm telling you, that's another part of telling the truth to Americans. This is what these people have actively done and what they are actively doing in your town. And when you hear it said like that and see them in handcuffs and getting hauled out, how can you not cheer for that?
Exactly.
I mean,
and
you have to.
People try to make it about race as well. Race has nothing to do with it. I equate it to a bowl of M&Ms. You have a bowl of 1,000 M&Ms.
Which sometimes you probably have a bowl of 1,000 M&Ms, right?
Hey, I've lost
late at
some
night
weight,
in the studio,
man.
tell
I've
the
lost
truth.
30 pounds, man. Okay,
half a bowl of M&Ms.
Half a bowl of M&Ms, sugar free, and okay, so you have a bowl of M&Ms. Okay, so I'm gonna drop 5 M&Ms that have poison in them. Have an M&M. There's only 5. There's 1,000 in here.
Right.
You probably won't get it. Have an M&M.
Yeah.
And that's it.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. So it has nothing to do with what color the M&Ms are, and what it is, just identity politics. It comes down to that what makes their side look better or look bad.
That's all fine and well until it comes to their doorstep.
And that's what's happening.
And then they can't handle it.
That's what's happening right now. It's coming back?
We can deal with it as long as I don't have to experience it personally. And now too many people have experienced it personally. Look at the people in Chicago. I mean, there's people in Chicago right now saying, please, I mean, Chicago didn't vote for Trump. They're saying, please come to Chicago and fix this. And the governor's going, I'll stand in the way. You know what's interesting? We haven't brought this up. Another curious thought I had a couple of days ago was Trump just designated the cartels and the human traffickers and all that situation as terrorist organizations, which allowed him to then engage the United States military to come in and back up local police and start to try to get these bad people out of here, the ones we're just talking about. Okay, that's pretty clear. But then when you go read the rules around terrorist organizations and you ask the question, what about people who protect or hide the actions of a terrorist organization? They're also considered terror. They're considered complicit to terrorism.
Right.
They're part of it. They're driving the getaway car, basically. I didn't rob the bank, but I did drive the getaway car. So yesterday, you see, I think it was Providence, a major illegal immigration attorney. They raided his office. The FBI went into his office. Makes you wonder who's calling the shots at the FBI at this point.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Christopher Wray did that, maybe. But they're starting to move on them. So when you see Pritzker or you see, Whitmer and all these governors, Newsom, who said prior to Trump winning, we're going to stand in the way of Trump. You're not going to Trump my California, right? We saw all that. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering how serious they are about that, because when Tom Homan comes rolling into your town,
oh man, Tom Homan
with ICE and the United States military at his back, I wonder if those governors and mayors are still going to stand in the way.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Right, and that's the thing is he is from day one. That guy means business, man. When I saw some of his interviews, I was like, yeah, that guy does not care.
He's been like a dog in a cage.
Oh my
God! Ready to let me out of here. I mean,
it's unbelievable.
He's the right man for the job.
Oh, absolutely, and we really need that, because we have been, and on a world stage, we've been so meek in doing what needs to be done, and sometimes it's not pretty. It's not something that that you sometimes even really want to happen, but it has to happen to move this country forward.
Is there anything any parent watching right now would rule out that you're capable of doing if someone came to hurt your kids? If someone came to take your kids, hurt your kids, kill your kids, is there any mom and dad out there who would rule out any level of defense that you would not put up? I would say the answer is probably not. No, you will literally die to keep someone from getting their hands on your kids. So when you look at Tom Homan and you start reading these rap sheets and all the kids who have been trafficked, hundreds of thousands of them missing in the United States, you read about men raping these kids, horrible things that they're doing. Then I have to think, Tom Homan's a dad. Those aren't his kids, but he's looking at them like, if those were my kids, this is what I would do. And that's why you see that look on his face. This ain't about politics to him. This is not about a promotion. This is about, if that was my kid, this is what I would do to save my own kid. So that's what I'm going to do to save your kid or somebody's kid. I'll never meet the parents. We got to get these kids out of here. That was the big ding, ding, ding to me with Tom before Trump won and before he took the job. He said, yeah, I'm going to find the terrorists. I'm going to find the national security threats. I'm going to find the vicious criminals, the violent criminals. He said, but first and foremost, I'm going to find those 300,000 kids that are missing in the United States right now. I'm going to find them. And I come up out of my chair at home and went, there you go, Tom. I started yelling at the TV. There you go. Ding, ding, ding. There you go, Tom. Because until America annihilates the child trafficking networks and throws every last one of them in jail or worse, Trump says they deserve the death penalty. He's going to push for that. Some states, Tennessee being one, is already talking about that as a punishment. Until we eradicate child trafficking, God's never going to bless America. I mean, the roughest thing ever came out of Jesus' mouth that I've ever read, I think I've read all of it, was you'd be better off to have a millstone tied around your neck and cast into the sea than to ever cause one of these children to stumble, to ever get in their way, mess with them at all, to mess with their innocence at all. And he says that kids have angels that represent them back to the Father daily. They have their own staff around them. That's how important they are to God. So America allowing this to happen for this amount of time, buddy, you're messing with the Son of God on that. And until we eradicate it, we will not be blessed again.
Absolutely. And I think you're like me too. I grew up, my dad was a preacher, and when it come to political stuff, you did not ask my dad who he voted for. It was a very sacred thing. It was very, it was something that was his business, and he was, staunch Republican. But and today it just seems that politics have gotten so, and I think now it's kind of pulled us. I wasn't a political guy at all. I've been I've been a music guy, and I've been conservative my whole life, but as far as just overly political, I've never done that. But it has pulled me out to speak out after all these years, because it's somebody has to, through music, through what we're doing now. Somebody has to start saying something. And I think, which brings me to another subject. I know, I don't want to keep you here all day, but music, bringing music into it, and I think culture played a massive part in this election, more than any other, I think.
Yeah, politics is downstream from culture. That's the line. I think Andrew Breitbart said that.
Yeah,
pretty sure that politics is downstream from culture, and so you're right. When it comes to being a songwriter, an entertainer, a movie director, a film script writer, anybody in that arena, which is completely, for the most part, stranglehold by the left. If you find a few that can have enough will to buck it and come out, like Aldean has done, Kid Rock coming out, I mean, the way he did.
Oh, yeah.
But others too. I think seeing Carrie Underwood not make a political statement, she just came out to sing America the Beautiful. But that was a big deal, real big.
Oh my God!
That she would stand. That I would argue the biggest female artist in country music today, Carrie Underwood, and one of our greatest female vocalists that have ever walked through this town.
Unbelievable! I did a whole video.
She walks in with all class, all cool. The track doesn't even work. They can't get the music to go. She goes, "I'll just sing it." Of course you'll just sing it, Carrie. You're a country music singer, girl. Exactly. And you're one of the greatest ones that ever walked. You don't need a track.
No.
I mean, Carrie Underwood could sing the phone book, and I'll listen to it. We'll sing A, B, C, D, E, F, G over and over. Go, Carrie Underwood's great, right? I mean, so.
In a world of backing tracks and.
Oh, no.
What
would have happened to a pop singer if that would have happened and the track doesn't work? Maybe a few of them might have done what she did, but I doubt it. I mean, that was real country music, but I appreciated the finesse she had with that.
Absolutely.
She just said, I'm going to sing America the Beautiful. I think Americans need to come together. We need to hope for a success in the next 4 years. And she took a lot of fire and a lot of incoming over it. She knew she would.
And good for her.
But good for her. That was her way of making a statement. And you do it like you do it, and I do it like I do it. But it has been very important, the ones that were willing to do it. Jeffrey Steele is another one.
Absolutely.
That was willing to write the kind of songs that would move the needle. Aaron Lewis, man, I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he put songs out there that became cultural, iconic songs. I put out a couple. Mm-hmm. Progress was number one
absolutely.
For a couple of weeks. I had one called Revelation here not long ago that's all about what the Bible says about what we're looking at in spiritual warfare. That's not going to be a number one song at country radio, and I didn't write it to be that. I wrote it because that is what's on my mind and heart, and I'm a songwriter, so I write it down, and what do you know? Millions of people felt that. Like they need us to give them something other than the news that they can listen to. Music is a totally different animal. It goes into people. It goes into their soul when they hear it. And if it really rings the bell the right way, it gives people confidence. It can give people peace. It can make people want to stand up and do things. I mean, it is extremely important.
It's very powerful
of what's happened in culture, in music, and the few that have done it has been very impactful.
And we had Fighter with John Conn.
Oh, that was
ended up playing on all the and the stuff we did last year. what do you have that's coming out? Do you have anything that you're passionate about that's coming out right now that you're working on, or anything that you want to talk about?
I've got one that I intend on putting out right around Sean Combs's trial, which right now I believe is in March.
Right.
So I'm keeping a close eye on that because the song deals with people like him, and the song is called "The Righteous Hunter." I have not shot a video to it yet, but the song has been recorded. And again, it's one of those songs that you're not going to hear it on the radio, but you're going to hear it. And it was laid on me I said, that's what I'm feeling. So you know how the feeling goes as a songwriter. When something comes on you real hard like that, our first instinct is to pull a guitar off the wall and get in a quiet room and get your pencil out and go, and you start hearing it. And here we go. It was one of those kinds of songs. We write songs for all kinds of reasons. When you're doing it for a living, you're just trying to land on somebody's record, get a cut, hope it's a hit, hope that turns into some money for you, and then maybe I can go write another one and make my publisher happy. But sometimes songs come along that you know are not hit songs. They're just important pieces of music that need to be made. Absolutely.
In a world of, the people are so shallow sometimes in the way that they're thinking, like this whole, this Elon Musk thing where they said it was a,
don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm not. Don't worry. I'm not going to.
Yeah, but then you've got 9 other pictures of everybody you can name
it's
all
so stupid
doing that. Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole different thing. But in a world like that, for me, writing songs and making music that touch people and make them feel something they weren't expecting to feel before they heard my song, and to change, to just to be a small part of what's happening right now is better than any number one I'll ever write.
Well, I would urge everybody watching, repost this. If you're watching right now, just hit the repost and tell your friends to watch it. I'm assuming they can go back and watch the whole thing on this one post.
Yeah.
But support this company, Baste Records. This is run by patriots. These guys are, this gentleman right here, Mr. Wallin, he's written some of the biggest hit country songs. I promise you know a bunch of them. You've grown up listening to them. One of the best songwriters in our town in many, many years. And these guys are legit, and they've taken a big risk to put these kind of songs out, to promote these kinds of artists, to invest in that, to risk their own capital over it, to be considered a scourge on Music Row by some of the big labels and to get looked down upon, but they keep coming anyway. So follow Baste Records. Keep up with the music you guys are putting out because this is important what y'all are doing.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much. You're a patriot and a talent.
Appreciate it, brother.
And a friend.
Good seeing you.
Thank you so much, John.
You bet.
Thank you, guys. And we'll see you on the next one. We got a bunch of more coming up. And, man, stay free, everybody. Talk to you later.